I started, of course, very young. I used to do yoga with my father at age 6 because my dad was diabetic at 35. Fitness was not integral. Like I used to do so much cardio and so much dancing that led to an injury. And then because I had to come out of that injury if I had to continue dancing, that led me to strength training. When I picked up strength training at age 33, my life changed in every way, from mentally, emotionally, physically. I literally felt like, I was this new person, maybe waiting to explore, because I think a woman does not know her true strength until she actually starts exercising. When I turned 40 is when I had my baby, right? And the only reason I was able to successfully and peacefully, more than successfully, comfortably conceive and deliver a healthy child was because of the fact that I really worked on myself through my training and my fitness.
We are in that age group between 30 to 40 and above. Combinations of us here. And every word from your side is like a wisdom for all of us. To hear from you, what is that we need to do?
Let me set some context to all the beautiful women here who have, showed up to ask me questions or listen. I will talk to you briefly about how and why you should incorporate more about how. I mean, we all know why we should incorporate any sort of training, right? But more than that, how can we do it, whether you're at home or at a gym and stuff like that? And I'll briefly get into that because we don't have all the time, but I'd love to take questions. But I'm here not to typically talk to you as a coach. Yes, I am a coach, I'm an entrepreneur and all of this. I'm a fitness enthusiast myself. But I think more than anything else, it's the experience of it all, because I started incorporating so much movement in my life, also much later on in life, right? I started, of course, very young. I used to do yoga with my father at age 6 because my dad was diabetic at 35. Again, being a super sportsman, and then it changed to a sedentary lifestyle and he became diabetic and all of that. So I started very young at the age 6, walking, running with my father, yoga. And then it carried forward. But, like most of us, I grew up in a middle class family, and then focus was studying, focus was marriage and everything. So somewhere you lose that love for sport because it doesn't become a priority for anyone. But luckily for me, I think, of course, with a job, all of that happened. And then somewhere I stumbled upon fitness. It just came to me in the form of dance. And like Geetha said, she's seen my dance, fitness and Zumba in the past. And that led me to taking fitness full time. And this I started at the age 33, right?
Wow.
After
33.
Until then I was a dancer. I used to dance a lot. I used to perform. But fitness was not integral. I used to do so much cardio and so much dancing that led to an injury. And then because I had to come out of that injury if I had to continue dancing, that led me to strength training. So when I went to the ortho, he told me XYZ, whatever. And then I knew that if I want to continue dancing for the rest of my life, I need to incorporate strength training. And then, of course, my husband supported me in every way possible, from the entrepreneurship to my fitness and everything. But when I picked up strength training at age 33, my life changed in every way, from mentally, emotionally, physically. I literally felt like, I was this new person, maybe waiting to explore, because I think a woman does not know her true strength until she actually starts exercising, because it makes you a very, very different person. It makes you confident. It makes you, feel strong. I mean, you're strong, but you just don't feel strong. You feel vulnerable in so many situations.
Makes us feel strong.
Yes, mentally. Yes, mentally and emotionally. Physically, it will happen. It's a byproduct, right? Exercise will make you physically strong. It's a byproduct. So when I saw those changes happen after 33, I found this newfound confidence that came in. That's when I realized that this is something that all women should do. And then when I started studying and getting deeper into it, then you study about menstrual cycle, how women should train. And then as I got older, I had my child at 40. When I turned 40 is when I had my baby, right? And the only reason I was able to successfully and peacefully, more than successfully, comfortably conceive and deliver a healthy child was because of the fact that I really worked on myself through my training and my fitness, right?
Wow.
And then today I'm 46, and I run my own business. I do these competitions, so I train really hard. I have 12-hour days every day, Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday is still quite peaceful, but Monday to Friday, I start my day at 5 a.m. and I end my day at like 5 to 6 p.m. Right? So the energy that I have to sustain long days, right? And just the energy to go about, doing your work on a daily basis comes from nowhere but my training.
Training.
So yeah, and I wanted to set this context because I want everyone, all the women listening, to know that it is not about the way you look, right? It is not about being size zero. It's never about that. When you cross a certain age, until like 30, 35s, you feel like, oh, you want to look a certain way. Even after child, you feel like going back to your pre-pregnancy weight. All great goals to have, but at some point you'll realize that what your body really needs is strength and energy to sustain each day, for yourself, for your family, and all of that. So to all my women out here, if you haven't already started, strength training or any sort of training, I would start by saying strength training, or rather muscle in your body, is the only age reversible organ. The only thing that
Age
can keep.
reversible organ.
Yes, yes. You can look a decade younger, feel a decade younger if you have solid amount of muscle mass in your body. I'm sure you'd have heard this plenty of times, right? As we age, our muscle starts deteriorating, and it's a common problem, and every
Yes.
human, male or female, will go through this. 3 to 8% of decline will happen year on year, and that's how we are. But if you can protect your muscle, what you don't want of too much is your fat, right? You want some amount of fat, especially women need a lot more, but you need a lot more muscle, and you want to preserve what you have, and you want to build more on top of it. And that can happen only with the right amount of strength training. And it does not mean that you have to go to the gym and pick up heavy weights all the time. It can happen just with body weight strength training that you can just start doing at home, right? So first and foremost, remember, muscle is the only age reversible organ in the body. I want to keep looking younger and I want to feel great every passing day. I need to have more muscle, right? Second, if you want to have strong bones, muscle is going to play that role for your bones. When you have more muscle, your bones are protected because around the bone is your muscle. So your bones are protected. So you have stronger bone mass, which means as you grow older, even if you have falls, you're likely not to have fractures. And typically you see a lot of people when they have hip fractures, when they fall, it just goes downhill from there. And then over a period of time, it leads to death, right? This is very common in older women and men, actually. So when you have strong bone mass, your aging becomes beautiful, right? You become less dependent on others to actually just functionally live, right? So muscle is protecting your bone mass, right? Then osteoporosis,
They both are
arthritis.
complementing each other. So both muscle
Yes,
and the bone are complementing each other.
yes,
So if I
exactly.
have some pain, I should work on both of them.
Yes, absolutely. The thing is, you cannot directly work on a bone, right? You can work on a joint. But when you work on a joint, like this is my shoulder joint. Now, I want my joint to have enough mobility. That joint should keep working. Like I shouldn't feel pain when I reach overhead because this shoulder joint is supposed to allow me to go overhead. If it's not allowing, that means there's a problem at the joint level and problem could be at the muscle level. So you have to, yes. So you're treating both the muscle and the joint when you train, when you strength train.